Hey guys, James Erickson here. Global Testfire is officially over. Thought it was a pretty good time. I had a lot of fun with that. I played 4 of the events. I think it ran a lot smoother than the Global Testfire, the first Global Testfires for Splatoon 1. I remember those were some of the time hard to get in. A lot of people were having trouble even getting into a game, but these ones went smooth. Anyways, guys, I thought I'd give some of my thoughts of the whole thing. You know, it's the very first time I myself and many of us got to play Splatoon 2, kind of feel it out, try out the mechanics, the gameplay, and all that. My overall impression of the game is a pretty good one. I enjoyed it. I had fun. The game felt pretty close to Splatoon 1 when it comes to gameplay, how you move, like what it feels like when you're using motion controls or when you're walking around and stuff like that. Felt good. Motion control, I use motion controls. The motion controls felt fine. They did seem a little bit different, but I think that's because I was using the Pro Controller instead of the giant gamepad. The controls felt really good. Obviously, there were a couple changes. 2 of them being the X button was now the map, and the B button is now jump. That did take a little bit of time to get used to. There were several times where I pressed X to jump, and I ended up pulling up the map. So it did take a few games for me to get a handle on that, but once I got a handle on it, it went smoothly. I continued to press the B for jump. And then using the map itself was a little bit weird because obviously we're used to using it on the gamepad. So just remembering that there is a map was something I had to do, and then learn how to super jump. Obviously it wasn't that hard to learn how to do that. But just to remember it was there, and then I kind of got, after a while, I got used to pulling it up. It started feeling more natural, and obviously by the time Splatoon 2 actually comes out, that won't be a problem. But it's nice. I'm really glad they brought in the press of a button map. I was sick of using the gamepad. Visually, it looked pretty good. Nothing too drastic of a change from Splatoon 1. I don't know if some of you guys noticed. But the graphics, I guess, compared to Splatoon 1, did seem slightly upgraded. Some of you probably are thinking, you know, what are you talking about? It looks exactly the same. But when I look at the Inklings look a little more polished, just a tad more polished. And then the trees, I think the trees show it off the most, but if you compare the trees in this game to the trees in Splatoon 1, that's an easier way to tell the difference. But not too drastic of a change. The Inklings look good. The maps look pretty good. One thing I do want to point out, maybe some of you noticed, but the light colored ink, like there was one in particular that sticks out in my mind, was the yellow-green ink. To me, it seemed like it was too bright. And normally you can see shadows and lighting in the ink so that you can tell, you know, where the enemy Inkling is going, or where even your own Inkling is going, because of the trail or the splashes of ink that comes up when you're swimming. But you couldn't tell in the very light green ink. But that was, I think with the ink, that was my only concern. The ink spread, it seemed to spread the same way in Splatoon 2. We know that this isn't the final game. There will still be some tweaks before they release the game, I'm sure. But got to try out each and every weapon. I think all of us who played the Global Testfire did try out every single weapon. I'll go through kind of the changes, what I kind of thought of each weapon. First off, I usually use the splatter shot when I'm playing Splatoon 1. And it felt mostly the same, and I was happy about that because I love the splatter shot. Seemed to play almost exactly the same. One thing I did notice, though, I'm not 100% sure about this. I did kind of try and test it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think, if I remember correctly, the splatter shot in Splatoon 1 is a 3-shot kill if the enemy does not have any defense up on them. It seemed to me that the splatter shot in this was a 4-shot kill. I know some people have argued that the splatter shot should be a 4-shot kill, if I remember correctly. So that may be a game changer for the splatter shot, but that was the only difference I found in that weapon. The dualies were a lot of fun. It was cool trying out a new weapon after playing Splatoon 1 so much. Playing all the weapons there. For the most part, it felt like, a basic shooter, but you had 2 reticles there, and I thought it was fun using them. Comparing it to the splatter shot, it was a little bit shorter ranged, but it does its work. It seems like a pretty viable weapon. And then the roller, the roller with its changes, you gain speed as you're walking, and then when you jump and fling your ink, it goes vertically instead of horizontally. I enjoyed the roller gameplay a lot more than I did in Splatoon 1, and I think part of the reason was that vertical fling of the ink. Something like that seems like it's going to bring more to the game, and I wonder if a lot more people will start picking up the roller as a main weapon, because I did not main the roller. I did not play the roller very often. If I did, it was usually the dynamo. But this one was really fun. It was fun that they added that, and it did, for some strange reason, the roller did feel a little different. I couldn't really put my finger on it. When you're just rolling around and flinging ink. Not too different, but different to the point where I kind of noticed it. But just that adding of the vertical fling, I guess I'll call it, that was a lot of fun. It was cool. I don't normally would just, pick up a roller, play a game, and be like, okay, I'm going to switch to something else. But in this game, there were a couple times where I was like, I think I really want to be the roller again. And that doesn't happen too often in Splatoon 1, so that was cool. I like the changes to that. The charger, I am not a charger main. I almost never use the chargers. In ranked, I do not touch a charger. So I am not too familiar with a good experience with a charger. So this one just felt exactly like a charger would in Splatoon 1. I couldn't really get good use of the new mechanic they added to it where you can save your charge. I was a little surprised at how quickly your charge save disappears. Like, you can only charge it for you can only save the charge for maybe like a second, I think it was. I thought you could save it the whole time. It's probably good you can't save it the whole time because you swim at your same squid speed, if I remember correctly. While you save that charge and you go under the ink, you swim as fast as you normally would. So that's probably good that you don't save it the whole time, but I, for some reason, thought you could save it the whole time. So I played the charger a couple times, did terribly with it, and then after that, I spent most of the time on the dualies and the splatter shot, and then the roller from time to time, which was, like I said, a lot of fun. Going into the specials real quick, the Tenta missiles were probably my favorite, I would say. Well, actually, the Tenta missiles and the splashdown special were probably my top 2 favorite out of the 4 we use, and we know of at least one more that's coming, the rain cloud. But the Tenta missiles were a lot of fun. I love just getting it out, locking onto a couple players, and then shooting that thing. And then the splashdown is the splashdown mechanic, or the splashdown special, was also a lot of fun. It just looks really cool. It feels really nice when you're going down and you punch the ground and a wave of ink goes around you and you splat the people who are in that vicinity. That may have been my favorite, right above the Tenta missiles. And then the other 2 specials that they let us try out were the Stingray and the jetpack. I don't exactly remember what it was called, but you guys know what I'm talking about, the jetpack. The jetpack was okay. I thought it looked cooler in the trailer. It wasn't bad, don't get me wrong. It wasn't a bad special. It felt weird at first because when you're flying in the air, you maintain the same height the whole time. And if you go down ramps or fall off ledges, you fall down with the ledge. So you maintain that same height. You don't really go that high. And then splatting people around you is not that hard. But I noticed that when you shoot in the distance, like if you shoot pretty far, your bombs don't touch down at where you're aiming. Or your bombs don't explode at where you're aiming if you're aiming somewhere far off. They just disappear in midair. And I kind of thought that was weird. I kind of felt that maybe they should touch down no matter where you're aiming. I don't know why that bothered me so much. But it wasn't a bad special. Definitely not as cool as the Tenta missiles. But yeah, the Tenta missiles and the splashdown to me. The Stingray was very interesting. Again, it seemed like a cool weapon to me, but once I started using it, it was really... Okay, tell me what you guys thought about the Stingray in the comments, please, because I really want to know what everyone else thought. I didn't really like it. I was having trouble getting kills. It was really hard to aim. You can't, if people are hiding behind walls and stuff, you don't know where they are. I know that there were a couple people in the stream that I talked to. They said, there was one person in particular said that they were getting kills, and I thought that was cool. You know, someone's learned how to use it. Maybe I'm just using this wrong. But it was really hard for me to aim. It was not hard to dodge it either. When the enemy was using their Stingray, it was not hard to dodge at all. You could just swim and you could basically get away. Plus, if you are hitting an enemy with the Stingray, it has to hit them like 5 times, I think. I think they need to get hit 5 times by the spray before they die. Maybe even more than that. I remember shooting a couple Inklings with it, and it shot them maybe 4 or 5 times, and they got away. Like, I couldn't get them anymore. I didn't know what was going on with it. The Stingray actually was making me pretty upset. I was having a hard time with it, and because it was also with a charger too, I just kind of stopped using that. I stopped using the charger because I was getting frustrated with that. I'm a terrible charger. And then the Stingray was just putting salt on the wound because I was having so much trouble with that. So I just kind of left that. But let me know what you guys thought, your thoughts on the Stingray. I'm very curious to hear the different opinions about it. I'm hoping that they do something with it. Something I also noticed about the specials is that they seemed more like crowd control instead of a real threat. They seemed a little weaker than the specials in Splatoon 1, but, you know, we're also playing Turf War, so the objective isn't in one place. I think it's going to be a lot different when we play ranked, because, you know, using something like the Stingray or, you know, Splashdown, or all of them pretty much, would be a real threat for, like, tower control especially. And then, you know, everything, really. Rainmaker and Splat Zones, I'm just going to obviously only name the ones we know at this point, which I'm sure are all coming back to Splatoon 2. In Turf War, you've got all your Inklings are all over the frickin' place. So the specials are a lot different being used in Turf War than they are in a ranked battle. So we'll see. I mean, my first impressions of them, they seemed weak. I'm not saying they were weaker, but they seemed weaker than the Splatoon 1 specials. They just seemed more like crowd control instead of a great threat, like I said before. But perhaps you could say the same for the Splatoon 1 specials for Turf War. I'm not sure, though, because I don't know. There's just something about them. But, you know, tell me your thoughts. It's not really a giant issue to me. It's just different, I would say. But we'll see what it really feels like when we play, you know, ranked battles and then when Splatoon 2 actually comes out. I'm sure they're using the Global Testfire to see, you know, what worked, what needs to be worked on. Obviously, they've been working on this for some time, and they've played it with they've had many people play it already before the Global Testfire. But we'll see how these all work out when the game is actually released. I hope that they do something with the Stingray, at least for me personally. Moving on, you know, to the sub weapons. The new sub weapon that we got to try, Curling Bomb. Just to me, it seemed to fit in well with the sub weapons that we already have. It felt kind of like a Seeker, but not really, because, you know, it's slowed down and then it can bounce off the walls and stuff. If you charge it, it actually slows down the speed and it explodes faster, I guess, because it's, you know, you're using up the charge or whatever the crap. I think, you know, it was fine. Timing with that will just take getting used to, and, you know, learning to bounce it in the right areas will take getting used to also. So I'm looking forward to using that. It wasn't too much of an issue. I kind of enjoyed just, you know, bouncing it off stuff. I was splatted by many of them, so they were good. The two maps, both maps, we got to use the Reef and Muscle Forge Fitness, I think it was called. They just felt like typical Splatoon, easy Splatoon maps. Two easy ones to use for the Global Testfire. Nothing real special about them. At first, they seemed a little bit the same. Obviously, if you play, you know, both maps over and over again, you start noticing more and more where the differences are. I liked them. That's all I really have to say about them. They're cool. I think I like the Reef better. I think also the Reef was a little bigger too. The Reef, for some reason, to me, just looked cooler. I guess it was just more my style. I don't know. But typical Splatoon maps. I enjoyed them, and it was good. So for the first two Global Testfires, I streamed the first two. The third one was like 7 o'clock in the morning. I wanted to do it, but the day before I had a headache that night, so I didn't get up for it. So the fourth one I actually streamed. So I didn't actually get any time to just play by myself, but the fifth one, the one that was at 11 o'clock at night for me, me and my wife actually played. We weren't streaming or anything. So I kind of got to focus in on some stuff, which was nice. It's nice. It is obviously nice playing, by yourself. You get to kind of take in everything a little bit deeper, do more of what you want to do, try out different things. So that was good. The one thing I really wanted to try, though, off stream was handheld mode. And it looked really good on the handheld, and it played just fine, obviously, because it should play as well as it does on the TV. Playing with the Joy-Cons attached to the screen did, as many would expect, it did feel weird. The right joystick is placed a little bit differently on the Joy-Cons than it is on the Pro Controller. In fact, it's right below the small A, B, X, Y buttons. So that was a little weird, but it was enjoyable. I liked playing Splatoon as a handheld. It was fun that way. I wouldn't play competitive that way. Like if I was playing competitively, trying to get my rank up, I wouldn't play it that way. But to play as a handheld, Turf War or something, or just playing casually or playing with friends, handheld I could see being a lot of fun, and I would definitely do it. It looked great on the handheld. It felt slightly weird, something you could get used to, not too bad. But it was cool. It was I don't know, it was just cool. So we've seen very little of Splatoon 2. We've seen 4 weapons. I know a picture has come out recently that's shown the 52 gal and then a blaster, and I'll put it on the screen here so you guys can see it. So we know the ones in the global test, the weapons in the global test fire are confirmed, and then the ones in this picture are confirmed. And then we've seen Splatling and the Sloshers are coming back. I guess they've confirmed that every single class from, as we can see here and here from them, they've confirmed that all the weapon classes from Splatoon 1 are coming back. But we don't know if every single weapon from Splatoon 1 is coming back. My point I'm trying to make here is we've seen little. We've only seen 2 maps. We have only seen very limited gear. We know nothing about the single player stuff. We know nothing about the ranked modes. Many maps to come. So we've seen very little. There's much more to come, and I'm excited about it. I really am. Splatoon has easily become one of my favorite Nintendo franchises now. Almost right on the same level as Super Smash Bros. I just love team shooters, and this is one of my faves. So I'm really looking forward to more. The Global Testfire, I think, was a success, and it showed me that I am going to enjoy the gameplay, at least the gameplay, as much as I did in Splatoon 1, maybe even more. By the time this video is out, maybe they'll show the release date, but still haven't talked about the release date yet. I'm really hoping May, but that may be a little too good to be true. We'll see. I know some people are saying August, not sure where that's coming from, but I sure hope not. Guys, let me know your thoughts. I really would like to know your thoughts about the Global Testfire, whether you're new to the game. That would be cool. For those of you who've never played Splatoon before, let me know let me know your thoughts in the comments. And those who have played Splatoon 1, just let me know the differences, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you're excited about, what you're dreading. I like reading those things. I'll comment on them from time to time. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to Erickson Gaming for more on Splatoon 2, and we got discussions, contests, hopefully getting some reviews in the near future, and then we got a lot of countdowns and things like that. But thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, I guess you can go and give it a like. That would be freaking awesome. Thanks guys for watching. Have a great day, and bye.